I'm Norman Liss. The name of the program is The Way to Go. I invite you to join me as we explore places to go and things to do. We're going to do a lot of exploring today. We're going all around the world, and we're going down to the Battery Park City, the World Financial Center. But the subject today is one of my favorite subjects, and it's cabaret. And today my guest is a man who the New York Times has called the Crown Prince of Cabaret. He's Steve Ross, one of the best and certainly one of my favorites. Steve, I'm glad you came all the way up here from the innards of Manhattan.
The trenches.
It's
nice to be with you. Back in my home territory.
That's right.
I'm a New Rochelle boy.
Yeah, and I didn't know that.
Yes, it's nice to be back.
So Steve, let's start. I've done many shows on cabaret, but let's kind of define cabaret for our viewers, and what is cabaret, and what makes it different from other forms of entertainment?
The thing that I think distinguishes it, and I've been on both sides of it, I mean, I was in the audience before I was in the performing part of it, remains that single word, intimacy, remains the participation of the audience with the singer, so they can see the singer. The singer's right up close. I mean, you can have a sound system and a microphone, which is generally what you need, a microphone and a piano. But the fact that there isn't a fourth wall as there is in a play, and there isn't the distance as it would be in a big concert. It is the fact that you are really sitting around, if you will, a fire, and someone's telling you a story, or it's a storytelling experience. That's what when I do my classes, I speak of it in that manner.
It's the format, because you've played in some very large auditoriums.
I have
you've
indeed.
Done theater, you've done Carnegie Hall.
Yes.
It's the tone, actually.
It's the tone of it. One tries to bring in audiences to bring in, during the course of the performance, audiences in a large place. I mean, Frank Sinatra can make everyone in Madison Square Garden say, gee, he was singing to me. That's the highest praise that any performer can get. Gee, I felt as if you were singing right to me and you were one of... It's just easier to do it if you have 80 people rather than 800 or 8,000. But it is the intimacy, it is the direct relationship between the performer and the audience, and just the physical intimacy makes you feel very special.
Now, of course, you play the piano very well, and you sing, you perform mostly from the piano, very sophisticated type of material, Fred Astaire, Cole Porter, we'll get into some of that, Oscar Hammerstein, and yet there is a warmth, a humor, you talk about that fourth wall. That fourth wall disappears when you're up on the stage, or in the room. You've done the Oak Room at the Algonquin many times. How do you do that?
Well, in the beginning of my career, I was a little more concerned about that. It wasn't as easy for me. I was nervous, perhaps, and a little starchy, maybe, and when I first started doing this. But then, I worked in some rowdy bars in the early part of my career, which are now video stores, which will go on nameless. But it's sink or swim. You have to get people's attention. It was very good training for me. It wasn't the polite. We've now trained audiences. Now they're very attentive. You go to an Oak Room or to Rainbow and Stars, and for the most part, audiences really. But in the beginning, they weren't. When I first came to town, Bobby Short was the only person doing this, and he made it different. He turned sitting at a piano and singing really into shows, into sets, and made it all the good for all of us, and started educating the audiences also. He still gets noisy people from time to time. I had to learn how to do it. So you learn how to do it in a raucous atmosphere. You have to get the attention and grab it, and then once you've dealt with them in that way, it becomes fairly easy to entertain them. And the key thing that I've learned, the more I do it, you cannot make them laugh enough. You cannot bring enough humor to a situation. A lot of the cabaret singers, the clowns want to cry, and we want to do a whole evening of love songs and of ballads, but you need to leaven it with humor in order for the audience to take it. So that's the big thing maybe that you've noticed.
We, at the beginning, mentioned the fact that you're doing this series at Battery Park City on alternate Tuesdays.
That's right,
now,
yes.
I've been to every one of them.
Bless you.
And thus far. It was interesting to me. The first session was out on the lawn.
Beautiful esplanade.
With the wind blowing. The second one, because the weather was threatening, went into the auditorium at Stuyvesant High School. The audiences were huge. The audiences were with it. The audiences participated.
They really did, yeah.
And it's bringing cabaret to audiences that may not have experienced it before. I like the humor that you brought into it. You bring a few surprises. You don't quite tell. Why don't you talk a little bit about what you did on the first show and on the second show there?
Well, we try to, as I said, the idea, of course, is to keep people laughing and to keep it a little bit... Cabaret, originally was somewhat of a revolutionary form. And when it started 100 years ago in Paris, it had a political and so faintly subversive aspect to it. And people there at Cabaret was people sitting in noisy café-concert doing rather inflammatory poems about the government. So it has an antic air in the beginning. It's not a sedate. I mean, it's all rather polite now. But so you try to keep people a little off guard. Maybe they go to a concert or something like that. It's fairly conventional. But the idea, I think, is to keep them, what's going to happen next one? So I have some marvelously talented singers I'm working with in this Hollywood series. It's called Hollywood on the Hudson, and this marvelous catalog of great songs from the 20s, 30s, 40s up to the now. But anyway, we had, answer to your question, we brought in a chap who's a female impersonator because he had been there last year, and he is wonderful. His name is Tommy Femia, and he does a terrific Judy Garland. And didn't the audience respond? They just went. And the second time around, we used an equally talented man named Steve Brinberg, who's had a very successful run doing his Barbra Streisand one. And we have a couple of more undisclosed surprises for you for the next two shows.
Now, did the audience realize, do you think, right from the outset, that these were female impersonators, that these were men doing this? I wondered at what point.
Know.
I'm familiar with both their work, so
yes,
I knew
they
immediately.
Are good, aren't they? Yeah.
I didn't know they were coming, but I was familiar with their work.
Well, actually, stepping back one level or one degree of familiarity, somebody did turn to a friend of mine and said, "Is that Judy Garland? Not is it a man or a woman?" And my friend realized that the gentle soul who asked the question could barely process the most basic information. So he just said, "Yes, it is." And she said, "Oh, how lovely. I haven't seen it for years." So that was it.
In your second show, you had a surprise, Pat Suzuki.
Yes, wasn't she marvelous? That she's just returned to performing, and the audience she's quite well known to those of us who love those great shows there are in Roberts and Hammerstein. She introduced I Enjoy Being a Girl in Flower Drum Song, and she is a delightful, as you notice, as perky and as moving as ever.
I did see her at Lyrics and Lyricists at
That's right.
92nd Street Y, and as she did in your show, she stopped the show.
She's terrific,
times.
isn't she?
She is really amazing. Such energy, and most of the people in the audience were doing what we were doing, figure out how old she is.
Yeah.
Because that was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago, but she fortunately has great energy and eternal youthfulness. And that's another, isn't it, these days in New York City, for this seems to be the only place that a cabaret is in force. I mean, although we try to bring it to other places with certain degrees of success, that this is a place where a star, she is like that, could find a home to return to, because I find the audiences in cabaret they're up for something that's new. They're up for something that's a little bit different. They could stay home, they could rent a video, but they want the live experience, and with that comes surprises, such as this lovely one with Pat.
Now, you say that it's primarily a New York audience that you're appealing to, and yet you have been in every continent.
I've been very lucky about that, I must say.
Doing the same sort of material?
I don't change. I didn't change in the 60s. I was working at one of these places that turned into a video shop, and I was sitting there with a bow tie doing Cole Porter, and they were wanting all this rock and roll stuff, and I don't change my material.
You've been in Hong Kong.
I was at the Hong Kong. The nice part about it is that if you can ally yourself with the atmosphere of a festival, if you go to a festival, and some international festivals have cabaret departments, as it were. No, I wish they were more, but in the Hong Kong festival, they took over a restaurant when I was there a few years back, and they turned it into a cabaret.
Ah, so it's an international audience. But South Africa, and you've been in Europe.
London is a wonderful field for this. Boy, do they know our music. The English know the American songbooks almost more than we do. Australia is a wonderful venue. I may be going to a festival there in Melbourne next year, and Australia actually was very pleasant for me. Then I worked in Venice, actually, and although the continent of Europe isn't as easy a job for me because I'm a word man, and the songs that I sing, I mean, I don't have a great Pavarotti kind of voice, so you need to know the words, the lyrics of what I do. And I find if you're not familiar with the language, as many continental Europeans aren't, I don't care, Parisians or Italians, bless their hearts. So I try to get a vacation there, but I sing in England and Australia. But the main stroke songs are known. That's why the Hollywood musicals are interesting, because the movies went all around the world, you see. Right. So if I'm putting a show together, as I went to Japan and to Brazil, not with Native American speakers as such, I mean, you know what I mean, speakers who speak American, I go with movie songs, because everybody knows Fred Astaire, and that's why the Fred Astaire show worked for me so well.
You know, you talk about these wonderful people that you've put together for your shows down at Battery Park City. But you had a great series on radio for 26 weeks on NYC.
It was a very pleasant series. Yes, we had the idea to do this show that was live, and we went to a different cabaret. This is about 1992, a long time ago. We went to 3 different cabarets, Rainbow and Stars, the Ballroom, no longer with us, but a wonderful room, and the Algonquin. And we went every Monday night. It was rebroadcast on Saturday for 2 hours live on that. I had to draw a deep breath when it was proposed that I do it. I'd never really done something like that, but I love this. I love this talking back and forth.
I love that show. As a matter of fact, I taped most of them.
Yeah, a lot of my friends have.
And I play that constantly. I play it in the car.
They're fun, aren't they? Yes, the live business.
Shows, they're live. You got great talent on it, and I thought about that when I came down to Battery Park City and saw what was going there. The Battery Park City is called Sounds at Sunset, and Sounds at Sunset. It's a very large program, actually.
Lots of different things.
With different things,
spoken word,
and people. It's a wonderful place, a wonderful setting at different places, and people could go there. I do want to call attention to the telephone number that people can call if they're interested in going there for more information about the events, the music events, the other events. For reaching Sounds at Sunset, the telephone number is 212-416-5354. We have a little treat for our viewers today, and that is we're going to give them an opportunity to hear some of Steve Ross. And fortunately, you have a new album out, and of course, it's right in keeping with what you do.
It's my man, my main man, Mr. Porter.
Why Cole Porter?
Always identified with his music, and in a way, with many of the things about him. He was a genius, you know, but he was at ease with people. He loved people around, and I am very much involved and outgoing in that style. I really need people with me, and I need their approval, and I try to entertain them. So he was very much like that, but not excessively so. He loved to have a good time.
His lyrics, of course.
And his lyrics indicate that he was very much of a social animal. Of course, he always would make fun of the very people that he was having supper with, and they liked that too, not cruelly. And he was very sly, and he used sexuality and with great humor and wit, and just went about as far as he could go, as they said in the lyrics. But also with great passion. He writes with such civilized passion, is the way that I used, what the words I used to describe him. I've always kind of given him the edge over all the other great composers, just because I have a special affinity for him, I believe.
And what are we going to be listening to?
Well, you're going to be listening to a song that I kind of not resurrected. It's the title song for one of his many productions about Paris. He loved Paris and lived there for a while with his wife. And I also share that affection for the City of Light. So he wrote Can Can, a musical in the 50s, and there's a title song. And it was kind of a big dance number when it was done, so you really didn't hear the many, many choruses of clever lyrics. So I was always on the lookout for this, and I came across it, and I decided to give the whole song. And I've been doing it ever since, and it's one of my favorites, so I hope you like it.
So let's listen to Steve Ross from his album, Steve Ross and Cole Porter, and Can Can. Wow. Well, if anybody can do can, Steve Ross can. And, of course, he's my guest today. Steve Ross, a great cabaret star, and we're talking about cabaret and some of the things that are happening, and this is from his new album. Steve, you were talking about Cole Porter before. We listened to the music and saw a little bit of Steve Ross in some of his many manifestations.
I have an extra line for you, by the way, I just thought of. I'm channeling Mr. Porter today. If Norman Liss with such bliss can, you can too.
Well, that's
You're a very nice man to talk to. You really are devoted to this stuff, and it's a pleasure.
I am. Cabaret, we talked about the New York audience and some of the people who are coming up. Some of the performers that you see again and again, Bill Doherty, who's been and who was part
of a team.
And now is doing a single, has done very well. Is Cabaret growing? I see so many performers. I go to the MAC Awards and I go to the Cabaret convention. Is Cabaret growing?
I think I have a feeling that we're holding our own. And my sense is that, especially here in the Northeast, that people are getting a little bit of the Message You See series out on Long Island and New Jersey. It may be kind of radiating out of New York. And Don Smith, the entrepreneur of the convention, had quite a successful one in San Francisco, and he's aiming to repeat it in Chicago. Mm-hmm. So it seems to be an urban experience, but it seems to be holding its own.
But we do see Cabaret, the Emlyn Theater.
That's what I'm saying, in this area.
Does Cabaret has some performers who preview their act before they go to the Rainbow
Yes,
and Stars
absolutely.
and some right after they've been there. Mm-hmm. And this seems, I know Lainey Kazan is coming up to the Emlyn shortly. So there is definitely an audience, not only in Manhattan where we think about it.
No, I think it's radiating out into the areas, different areas.
I also noticed in the audiences that there are a lot of younger people who like the older songs.
I think to that we must thank the films. They wouldn't have the movie channel if no one watched it, and I think young people. I have a nephew, for example, who's in his 20s, who is devoted to this music and loves all of this stuff. And so I think thanks to the film music and the old movies they've kept a lot of these songs alive. And of the style is not so far. It's, that's what Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers looked like. And I think people are drawn to the snap and the style of it all. At least I was. And that because it's different. There's a certain style in modern music, but that's another kind of style.
But you mentioned Cole Porter and lyrics, and today lyrics are so important to you and to the things that you do. Modern music, the lyrics are lost, and so the lyrics played a much, I think, stronger part. Well, rap is lyrics, isn't it?
Rap is lyric and very creative lyrics, and again, rap seems to me to go back. If you're speaking about the subversive aspect of lyrics and poetry, to the earlier roots of cabaret, not that you have rap and cabaret necessarily, they seem fairly incompatible in some areas, but there people are making points, people are expressing anger and they're against systems, against things, and this is not so far away from the original spirit of cabaret. Interestingly enough, how it all comes around, and the use of words is more powerful to say it in rhyme than it is just to say it in prose.
I often listen to lyrics as if I didn't hear the music, and I see it as poetry.
As America's light poetry, yes.
It is poetry.
Especially in the hands of great artists like Yip Harburg and Mr. Porter and Gershwin. Mr. Hammerstein, yes. These are. I
interviewed his grandson on this program not too long ago, and we talked about Oscar Hammerstein the first, and Oscar Hammerstein
the whole dynasty,
and he is Oscar Hammerstein the third, and he's
I've not met him.
Preserving the family archives and spending a great deal of time to do that. It was great to listen to how true to the subject his grandfather was in composing. One of the things I definitely want to do on this program is to give you the opportunity to give a telephone number where people can get more information about where you're playing and what your albums are, and because I know I want to go wherever you are, and I keep track of where you are.
Thank you, Norman.
So what is the telephone number that people can call?
I have, yes. This is, as we are waiting for the website, which has yet to occur, which I will get at some point. In Manhattan, it's 212-787-3367.
Would you repeat that?
Sure. 212-787-3367.
And we're going to put that up in the closing credits so that people can write it down if they didn't have their pen or pencil handy.
Yes, I would be most pleased to questions, and I have people who are working with me on the record business, and we try to keep track of everything. Yeah.
Where's it all going? Is Cabaret going to change? Is it going to lose an audience? Is it going to gain larger audiences? You've been in the business for a long time now.
I have indeed. Oh, it's hard to predict the future. There is an interest from some young people whether it will keep them. I don't know. The audiences who are drawn to this are generally 50 plus, for whom the songs mean more. I have to say that. I don't know whether enough younger people will be drawn to it to keep it going or not. It's hard for me to say. It has a sense of a classic. There's a classic style connected to it. My prognostication is that there will always be a group always, that is aware of how stylish and how, I use that word not in a lighthearted way, but in a good way, the way that some things are timeless, like a watch, a great watch, or great cars. People who are drawn to the timeless quality of something will go back to these songs, plus the fact they're not museum pieces. They say things. They are used in modern movies.
Yes.
I mean, they will go to you'll find a modern song, but you'll find an old song being used.
A lot of them, yeah.
to express, especially the love songs, because no one wrote love songs the way these guys did.
What's the future for Steve Ross? What have you got booked off into the next year?
Well, I'm going to be going to London. I'm happy there. I've been playing around in various theaters in London. I mean, various theaters in England, rather. There's one wonderful place that we work in there called Pizza on the Park. It's an odd name, but it's a terrific room. Terrific cabaret room, one of the best I've ever worked in. And a lot of the artists that appear in town, Andrea Marcovici's there, Julie Wilson. A lot of us go to London. For those of your viewers who will be going to London, they should check out Pizza on the Park. And then in Norwich, in East Anglia, in the northeastern part of London, there's a festival there. And I'll be, the festival, you see, and I'll be doing that. And I may be going back to Scotland, maybe going back to Edinburgh for some performances there. And what else is going on? I'll be doing some work. I actually have started doing some concerts for a series that takes me around the country to small towns. It's called Community Concerts. I don't know whether it's something that you're familiar with. It started off about 60 years ago as a subdivision.
Into small towns?
It started off as a subdivision of Columbia Artists, which is the biggest touring organization. Okay. And they brought music, originally only classical artists, to a small town.
I'll tell you what we have brought. We have bought the time because we've run out of time.
Oh, there you go.
It's been great talking to you,
Well, nice
Steve,
to talk to you, too.
I'm glad that you could come here.
Thank you.
My guest today
More later.
is Steve Ross, who is a great cabaret performer, one of the best in my estimation. Go see him. Go buy his albums. I'm Norman Liss. The name of the program is The Way to Go. Until next time, enjoy yourself.